Bitcoin really fills a gap and creates an opportunity to source electricity from the most consumer-friendly, the cheapest fuel, and then utilize it in the most efficient ways. It makes our ever-growing demands for energy less expensive and more sustainable over time.
Hi, I'm Alana Mediavilla, and I am the director and producer of Dirty Coin. For Dirty Coin, I sat down and interviewed Senator Cynthia Lummis, who chairs the Senate Banking Subcommittee on Digital Assets and also co-sponsored the Genius and Clarity Act. She is one of the most active senators in the United States regarding Bitcoin, crypto, and digital assets. And here is her full interview.
Wyoming is the first state that crafted a comprehensive set of state legislative statutes to integrate digital assets into the state's economy. We were the first state to have a special purpose depository institution statute and other statutes as well that create a really positive home environment for companies working in the digital asset space. So since Wyoming is very interested and very focused on diversifying its economy in this way, I thought it was particularly incumbent upon me, being a member of the Wyoming delegation, to take a deep dive and learn more about these assets and how best to regulate them in a way that creates an understood regulatory environment that continues to allow for innovation.
I believe that you're familiar with flare mitigation and how Bitcoin miners are using that. Can you tell me more about how Bitcoin miners are solving this big problem?
When an oil and gas well is drilled, some of the excess gas is flared before a gathering line can be buried and hooked up to the well to take the oil away or the gas away. That flaring means that that is going into the air unused. And so they're taking what is an unused product, an asset, and they're pulling up mining equipment right next to the oil and gas wells, plugging them into that source of energy and mining for Bitcoin on site next to these wells. So it is an environmental benefit to have those kinds of opportunities brought to an oil and gas well that has not yet been connected to a pipeline. We also have instances where mining equipment is adjacent to a terminus of a transmission line for electricity and can be used right there. That helps to smooth the uses of energy throughout the day. As we all know, there are certain times a day when energy use goes up and then it declines during the day, then it ramps back up when people are returning to their homes and turning on their dishwashers and their air conditioners and such. So Bitcoin mining can help smooth out the peaks and the valleys and have sustainable long-term energy use that is much more efficient for an electric grid, an electric system, than having these peaks and valleys during the course of the day, because when the peaks and valleys occur, they have to ramp up their systems and then reduce them again, which creates inefficiencies within the system. It's much more efficient if there are ways to level the peaks and valleys and have a more sustainable system, and Bitcoin mining can do that.
What would it mean for the future of the United States electrical infrastructure if more people would understand that and advocate and regulate properly around this industry?
Well, it creates opportunities for the smoothing of the use of various fuels. There are large systems in the United States that produce electricity from multiple sources, from nuclear, from natural gas, from oil, from coal, and they're shopping for whatever is the least expensive fuel in fractions of a second. That's the efficiencies they're seeking. Finding efficiencies in the uses on the other end of the equation is more challenging. So Bitcoin really fills a gap and creates an opportunity to source electricity from the most consumer-friendly, the cheapest fuel, and then utilize it in the most efficient ways. It makes our ever-growing demands for energy less expensive and more sustainable over time.
Have you seen miners working directly with energy utilities to work together to build their infrastructure as a team?
I have. In Wyoming, even some of the rural electric systems have been working with miners to undertake some of the leveling that I've discussed, or if they have excess capacity within their system, they have a user that can be brought in conveniently to locate their mining equipment in a way that does not put costly extensions of electric service, but rather can be brought to where the electric service already exists. And we are seeing tremendous increases in the demand for electricity. And there's only going to go up as we have more electric vehicles, as gas stoves are pushed to become electric stoves, as gas-run appliances of all kinds in houses are going to be pushed onto electricity. All that does is increase the demand for electricity in ways that are going to be disruptive to this even steady flow of electricity. And Bitcoin is such an important component to balancing this that it will become even more important as demand for electricity grows and the needs for these balancing effects, both on the cost side and the delivery side, become integrated to our everyday lives. A lot of Bitcoin mining is done using wind energy, solar energy. Right now, worldwide, the percentage of wind and solar energy that is used mining Bitcoin is a higher percentage than the overall uses at large. So people need not assume that this industry is using hydrocarbons only and expanding the need for hydrocarbons. It's my opinion we'll always need hydrocarbons, but for people who want to end our dependence on hydrocarbons, Bitcoin mining can play a role in that as well. So it's not the production of a commodity through dirty systems. Furthermore, we are making tremendous progress in carbon capture and sequestration. And if carbon can be captured in the ground and not get into the air, we should encourage technologies that can help fund that technology to make it more usable globally. And the advances in that technology at the same time that there are advances in mining for Bitcoin, I think can grow together in ways that enhance both.
When did you discover Bitcoin?
I think it was 2013. My now son-in-law told me about it, and after asking repeated questions in 2013 and 2014, I bought my first Bitcoin with his help, and then just became more and more interested. In 2017, I spoke at the Satoshi Roundtable, and my topic was, how does Congress work? But while I was there were big debates going on about the future of Bitcoin, and I sat and listened the whole time. And so that was when I fell down the rabbit hole or got orange pilled or whatever terminology you want to use, and then have continued to learn more and be more involved in it ever since. It's freedom money. It's freedom because you don't need to go to a bank. You can have it in your private wallet. You can access it when you need it. It is a long-term store of value. We need to take a long-term approach to how we save for our families. It gives people an opportunity to know that as they save, their money, their Bitcoin, their store of value is secure, it's accessible. They don't have to worry about a bank failing or having more than $250,000 in a bank account that is uninsured and have that money go away. With all the bank failures we've seen recently, seemingly to come out of nowhere, certainly outside of the control of individuals, it, I think, makes a stronger case for having freedom money, for having something of value that is separate from the fiat currency system. The fact that it is on the blockchain, that you know when transactions occur. You don't know who's transacting, but you're knowing they occur. And that you can store the entire blockchain on a computer at your house. You know that regardless of whether all the other computers in the world fail, as long as your computer is working, the entire blockchain is on your computer in your house. So this is, I believe, a hardened system, a secure system that gets harder, meaning stronger and more secure all the time. And that's another aspect of what makes it something that is consistent with the American way of life.